All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another stream of Reactionary Opinions, the most certainly based show on the African continent. You're going to see me in just a sec. There we go. And we are miraculously live. It's been a very busy day. Apologies for the delay, folks. We're very late. I had church band practice that ran a little bit later, but it's all good, and we're done praising the Lord. We have a guest here this evening, a really cool guy, someone who is related to me by blood and who I have known my entire life, and who is actually one of the original 3 based bros. Welcome, Russell. How's it going there, brother? Actual brother of mine.
Going well. It's a good Wednesday.
Yeah, man, very busy day. I think we both had a very busy day. But thankfully, we made it to this live stream. Let me just open the chats here quickly. There we go. And remember, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, bell icon, and all that other cool YouTube stuff. Anyway, let's jump into what we're going to be discussing this evening. During the whole COVID fiasco and all of what's going on, myself and Russell, we hang out quite often. Russell comes over to my house at least once a week for dinner, and we sit and we chat in my great hall. And something that's really, really frustrated him is the way that people have handled this whole COVID story and how it affected him in sometimes a personal aspect. But the fear that was that exists around COVID, and the fear that has and now permeates pretty much every aspect of our interaction with people. I mean, when was the last time that you in a social setting put out your hand and shook a man's hand, and I think that fear drives a lot of this. And I think that people are absolutely terrified out there. Russell, what do you think? Why do you think people are actually so afraid? I mean, obviously there's this whole thing that people are, afraid of COVID and all of that, but why deep down, why do you think, what is the drive behind this irrational fear that people are experiencing now?
To be honest with you, I think it's got nothing to do with so much with the fear of a virus or anything like that. It's actually got to do with we as a world, as a modern world, especially in Western settings, reasonably advanced Western settings, we've had it so good for 60, 70 years that we no longer know what a little bit of trouble is. We've gotten so used to endless progression of expanding benefits and improved lives that anything to disrupt that is now all of a sudden a threat to us. You know what I mean? So we will do anything. In actual fact, do we fear the virus, or do we fear our safe, secure lives being lost or disrupted? You understand what I'm saying?
I think that is really the driving factor behind it. There is this, and it is irrational, the fear of COVID. It can possibly, and when I say COVID, I mean the whole entire situation. I don't necessarily mean the virus itself. But there's Scott Sange in the mix over here. How's it, brother? Look at these based kings. We're trying. We're trying, brother. But I think that you're right there, Russell. The way that people have got so connected to their easy, simple lives that
please don't accept my life. My life is my everything. I've got I've got my house, I've got my car, I've got my wife, I've got my kids.
Mm.
They're in good schools. I'm doing better than my parents did. Please, we don't want anything to disrupt this. Whether
Yes,
it
yes,
be
yes.
whatever it is, a virus, a government, or this or that, or whatever it is, and it comes down to this type of materialism thinking, that please do anything, and that's why that's why you just need to create a little bit of fear, and then what will happen is people will latch on to any little bit of hope that, even if it means self-destruction. All right, the fact is that they have a hope of this being sorted out. They so you'll see they instead of taking responsibility themselves. Okay, there's a dangerous virus out there. I'm going to take precautions myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. They say, they look towards their leaders. Please do something.
Yeah.
Do something. And then,
Yeah, oh, great and mighty, all-powerful, omnipresent leaders, help us out.
all highness, all hail the great highness of the statehood.
Yeah.
Please do something.
Or Russell, no. Not only the state, it's also the Holy Trinity, which I like to call the Holy Trinity of the experts, science, and the holy vaccine.
It's basically institutional power. Institutional power. Whether it be state-led, professional-led, whatever. Let's just use the broad term as in institutional power must save us. Instead of you can just take the perfectly good precautions yourself and take clear responsibility for yourself and your family, and deduce your risks and manage your own affairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
RJJ says, yes, my Chinas. Yes, RJJ, thanks for joining.
Yeah, so look, I think it's also people have put their faith in the last 60, 70 years. Their faith is now in ever expanding prosperity, materialism, and just I want to live a good life and don't disrupt my nice, comfortable life. That is the new God. All right. That's where people's faith is. All right. And it's been very, very disappointing, especially not entirely, but you see large swaths of those of the Christian faith succumbing to it as well. All right. And then one of the things that's very, very interesting, it's quite fascinating. The most fascinating psychological thing that I've encountered over the last year and a half, all right, is that there's no way of predicting how somebody's going to react to the situation of it, what sort of view they're going to hold of the world and how things are unfolding and all those sorts of things. It doesn't matter if you are male, female. You can't. Basically, what I'm saying is you can't predict based on a particular demographic. It doesn't matter if you are what race you are. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what level of education. It doesn't matter what level of
What are you trying to say now? You can't tell.
You can't predict. Look, put it this way: you take people like us, for instance. We've held pretty much the same views the last 18 months, right? Okay. But what I'm getting at is that you'll see people that you think would have thought the same as you think completely different.
Oh, definitely.
You can't actually predict. It is so unique. All right.
Well, that's where. But Russell, that's probably why those sort of differentiating factors and stuff. Those could only be. You only get that sort of clear definition when the driving factor behind people making certain decisions or moving certain ways is fear. That's the only time you'll really see that. Is if people are so afraid of something that they literally change their entire view or their entire ideology or whatever you want to call it. Evening, gentlemen. Hi, Beth. How's it going? Good to have you here, man.
Hello, Beth. Well, it's just been so fascinating. Another person that I know that's a counselor and has a counselor and has done psychology. And she told me an interesting thing that
I thought you were going to mention
comes down
Ronaldo
to-
Host now, because
no, I don't know Ronaldo Host, man.
lucky you.
I
Yeah.
don't
Anyway,
know that
this
guy,
lady.
man. Anyway, she said it basically comes down to fight or flight. Some people have got the fight or flight personality, and it's pretty much down the middle in terms of the population, how they react to it. And it's got nothing to do. It's quite astounding. It's got nothing to do with your environment, what background you're from, your religion, your anything. It's like people that you would think are like you don't hold your views. You know, it's been quite astounding.
It can only be the factors behind that can only be just fear. I mean that's the only reason why someone would change their ideology so go in such a different direction. It can only be fear. Jack Bet says, "Hey, miss you guys with me being off the fake book." Yeah, I'm still on Facebook. As I professed or confessed to my boy Scott on his stream, I'm a little bit of an addict, but I generally use my Facebook to share cute videos of my daughter and complain about the vaccine. But
Scott's not even.
But yeah,
Scott is just he's just trying to. He has a particular following that like to give him gears about the vaccine. So that's the only reason why he posts anti-vaccine. He's not like a fundamentalist anti-vaxxer. You know what I mean?
No. I kind of, I don't know. I get a kick out of it. I'll be honest.
He gets a thrill out of the reacting to his postings about the vaccine. But yeah, look, that has been astounding to me, that there is no sort of grouping that you can say, okay, well, if somebody is from a religious background, they will see it this way. Or if somebody is from this particular, if they're males, they'll see it this way. If they are females, they'll see it that way. If they are Afrikaans, they'll see it. There is no predetermining factor that you can actually kind of, is completely, in my view, random,
Yeah, Russell, I want to just look at this comment that Beth said over here. It's quite interesting. She said, "Ugh, guys, I'll be honest. Hey, I can't believe some of the drivel my own family comes out with. This is actually it actually speaks to the genius, the pure genius of what has been going on over the last 18 months. That they are literally, and I know personal friends of mine who have been utterly disowned by their family because they refused to take the vaccine. Totally disowned. And this is what this is doing to us. People are so afraid of this COVID story that they, well, I mean, I don't know about the COVID story, but they're afraid of the propaganda that they are willing to literally demonize members of their own family over the situation. And this is the genius behind what has been going on. And it's just, if you cannot see how purely sinister and pure evil this is, then I'm just lost for words. I don't know where to start with you if you cannot understand that separating a family over a vaccine that literally does nothing, that scientifically literally does nothing, is just it's absolutely diabolical.
Yeah, look, I've just been, yeah, I think the whole way that they actually went out there on a massive way just to confuse everybody and get under everybody. Just really, I think they really, like what you said is correct. It must have been, these social scientists are brilliant. They don't, they are really, really good. Okay. They'll use all sorts of weird stuff, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to sow as much confusion as much. 1 minute they'll say this, the next minute they'll say that. In the 1 minute it's this, and the next minute it's that. And then
all these different variations and this and that, and then second jab and third wave and
Delta variant, Delta Echo Charlie.
It's propaganda bred in circus, bro. It's propaganda bred in circus. They are literally like what you really need to do. Okay. And now I honestly, I don't concern myself about the COVID vaccine and the COVID so-called pandemic. I don't concern myself about it. I get along and I work and I look after my family, and I do all of these things. Obviously, it annoys me when I see how frantic people can get behind this COVID story. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the radio or anything, because if you do watch the news and you do listen to the radio, this is all you're going to hear. All you're going to hear is COVID this, COVID that, and it just gets your
vaccine, take this. The vaccine saves lives.
Yeah, don't take ivermectin. It's sheep's medicine and all. But I still get on with my life, but so many people that I know personally have literally put their lives on hold because of this situation. And I mean, if you cannot see the genius, the propaganda bread and circus that these guys have spilled out there, then you really need to do some internal reflecting.
Another thing, do you listen to this, right? They say they're against gatherings, right? Okay. They need to limit gatherings to stop super spreader events. I hate that word, all right? But
I love super spreader events. I have one of them every at least twice a month there in my great hall.
No, we have braais there, like 15, 20 people there. It's lekker.
Yeah.
In a tiny space, all spreading air.
Like a super spreading events and stuff, and I've never had COVID.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Russell.
Another thing, I mean, like I was saying, Scott, I mean, think of it. I do not see it as a coincidence, this, all right? You can fill a plane with 150 people packed in a plane, all right? You can fill a taxi to the brim. The taxi, the bus terminals and the public transport can be packed, all right? The malls can be packed, all right? As much as you like, all right? But anything that is important to the human spirit, your church, your weddings, your social gatherings and events that lift us up. Funerals, which are social gatherings, which are important human interactions, all right? School graduations, all these sorts of things, all right? These are the things that make us and give us our spiritual energy when we do them, all right? Make no mistakes about it. This is not a coincidence. This is to break our spirit.
Yeah, I mean, you get people out there that are like, oh well, it's all in our best interest. We better do these things and stuff. It's like, believe me, like, this is not in your best interest. Staying away from church is not in your best interest. Staying away from weddings and social gatherings with families and stuff is not in your best interest. You are going to destroy yourself internally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to look at the stats of mental illness in the health industry around South Africa over the last 18 months, and how they have literally shot through the roof. I mean, think about and you see, the thing is with mental illness is it's not like something like COVID. If you get COVID, you have a 99.7% chance of getting better from it. Okay. If you have a mental breakdown, okay, you sit with that mental breakdown for the rest of your life. Okay. Guaranteed. Not everyone does it. It's not like you have a mental breakdown and you just get better. You can take some ivermectin and you get better from your mental breakdown. Okay. You get COVID, you have a 99.7% chance of surviving it. Me, as a 39-year-old, I probably have a 99.9% chance of surviving it, if not more. Okay. But if I have a mental breakdown, the damage that does long term to me, to my family, and to my community is devastating. And guess what? There's 100% chance that that my mental breakdown is going to be long term. You understand?
Look, you can overcome it, but it's a much longer road. You can take 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. But you can overcome it. But the damage, the damage is highly, very, very significant. It's not nothing. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I'm using an example of a nervous breakdown or whatever, which is not maybe it's not maybe classified as a mental illness or something, but like what triggers mental illnesses are mental breakdowns and that sort of thing. So
well, I mean,
you can recover from it, but it's got long-lasting effects. Okay. And who knows, maybe you do something wild or something when you have a mental breakdown, and that just causes endless trouble and stays with you for the rest of your life.
Another interesting thing, another reason why people chose how can I put it, the official, to not question the official version, all right? In other words, they weren't necessarily full of fear, all right, but they had too much to lose. In other words, they were part of, they decided to support the government, or, you know what I mean? They thought, oh, well, we need to actually, this is a national crisis. We need to support the government. And then when the government started coming up with all sorts of ridiculous things, they just went along with it because they had too much to lose. And they had too much to lose, and they just folded.
So you see what Beth says over here. This is 100%. I agree with this. Being in recovery from a mental breakdown is very similar to being an addict in recovery. Every day you have to work to do the work.
You'd have to fight your way back, but some people.
It's a constant struggle.
Yeah, you can come back, but it's still going to be very, very difficult and hard on those around you as well.
Yeah, especially. But the point is with COVID, you have a 99.7% chance or 99.8% chance or whatever it is of surviving it. Why are we, I put out a tweet the other day, and I'm paraphrasing as to what the tweet said. I can't remember exactly what I said, but something in the lines of, I cannot believe that people are 100% willing to sacrifice their freedoms for a survival rate of 99.8%. I'm sure that if you had to give every battling and every warring man in history those odds, they'd laugh at the men of today.
Yeah, exactly. This is the whole thing. I mean, you've got when you consider that in South Africa the median age of a COVID fatality is like 60 something plus. You know what I mean? You go like, okay, guys, let's just be real here. But another thing, Scott, I wanted to discuss is it's how for some reason, all right, with the power, we touched on it earlier, with the power that a mega state has got, all right, they seem to be able to wield an incredible amount of power that civic leaders, whether they be from business, from civil action groups, NGOs, religious organizations like churches and that sort of thing, they really are terrified of actually making a stand. They are terrified.
You mean you mean churches and stuff?
Churches, business leaders, civic society, they are terrified.
Why do you think they're terrified, though?
I think they've got too much to lose. They just don't want the hassle. Like we said earlier, Scott, People want the nice, comfortable way that it has always been, all right? And they are struggling to grasp the fact that it's not going to be like that for much longer. And they need to turn off they need to change the way they think about things. They want, like, for instance, the churches in South Africa want things to continue like they always were. It's not going to happen. All right?
No, it's not.
They're going to nationalize the churches, okay? Whether you like it or not, okay? They're going to come for your church, all right? And there's nothing you can do about it. And too many leaders in churches in these days are hoping against hope, all right? With people who are actually they're basically hoping that demons will give them a break. That you know what I mean? Like the Satanists and demons in governments will give them a break. You know what I mean? And hello, you know. Come on, guys.
It's quite ridiculous.
This is your enemy. So it's on a personal level, and it's also, as soon as somebody is in a leadership position, it's very easy to be a leader, Scott, when it's all nice and comfy and you don't need to make difficult decisions, and it's like, oh, we just business as usual, like a story. But when you really need to make a difficult call and actually put everything on the line, no one's prepared to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
No one's prepared to do it. No one's prepared to make a stand. Those that profess to be leaders, all right, aren't prepared to lead and sacrifice everything. That's the whole point. If you're going to put yourself into that, like for a church leader, for instance, if you're going to put yourself in that space, you must be prepared to die for the cause.
Yeah, because you are the, this is also a thing, the how, and
it goes like this, all right. You've got to have that in you, or give it up, walk away from it. If you don't have that, walk away. This isn't a game. This isn't a game of cards that we're playing anymore.
Yeah, but Russell, think about this. Think about this, okay? If you research and well, not research, but just read about what the previous idea of a leader was. So I'm talking, a good 500-600 years ago or something. What that idea of a leader was someone that died for his people, like Jesus Christ did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the ultimate leader.
So that is what patriarchy means, is the idea that you, as the patriarch or the leader of your people, is willing to die for his people. But where have we seen that? Where have you seen, apart from like the brave
people and the cause, for the people and the
cause?
Apart
from, yes, of course, but apart from like the brave men that die in wars, that get sent to fight these pointless wars by these governments and stuff, you don't see they're brave. They're really brave because they're doing it utterly senselessly. But where do you see? You don't see leaders dying. Where do you see leaders riding their horses in cavalry onto the battlefield and stuff? You don't see it. You don't see these absolute king leaders riding out there willing to die for their people. You don't see it. And this is why, Russell, I think that the modern idea of leadership is totally different to what the previous or the traditional idea of leadership is. What modern leadership has become is a sort of a position to control people and reap the benefits of controlling people.
No, look, for sure.
Check this. wait, I'm going to get to Scott's comment now in a sec. I just want to read a couple of comments over here by RJJ. He says, population has been programmed by Save the World and Save the World Trust Authority action movies.
That's
yes,
very true.
Absolutely, that's exactly
Day
true.
And
Independence Day. What's that? What's those comic book movies?
All those pandemic movies.
Yeah, all the pandemic movies where, like, oh, all of a sudden, we've got a vaccine. There's a vaccine, and they fly in this vaccine and save the day. and now and can now
ready.
arrogantly insert themselves into the charade. Yeah, absolutely. Beth says, apologies for what I'm about to ask, Russell. I don't want to change the topic here, but I need to ask advice. How can I get hold of you? Russell, how can she get hold of you? She's not on Facebook. What's your email address?
My email address is Russell, RUSSELL, at ban, BAN, .co.za.
Okay, it's in the comments section there, Beth. I put it in the comments section for you. Scott Tange says, gynocentric institutions want safety first. Fear social shaming above all things. Yes, absolutely. The feminization of institutions is a massive problem.
Well, look, remember what I said earlier. Everyone wants safety and a nice setup and know this and it's safety first. Everything. It's like
it's basically, but you know what it is, Russell. It's a feminine trade. It really is.
Well,
sorry,
that's
Beth.
The thing, you know? Well, what's happened is the world is run. It's irritating me now because the world also is run by these like tech geeks. You know what I mean? These tech geeks and pencil neck bureaucrats and politicians that have never had a job in their lives. You know what I mean? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, like I mean, the heroes of the day are like nerdy simps like flipping Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and stuff. Like gone are the days of General Patton being like a based man, and you know, like nothing like that. You know, there's none of that. You know, there's no like heroes like for young kids like John Ross and all these great adventurers and stuff. None of that. It's all like simpy space cadets that rule the narrative, and it's disgusting. It's gross. Dagbreker says, yeah, there is also the generational guilt factor that has been passed down for years, and for years I had to carry that idea with me until one day came and I decided this far and no further. I am not guilty. Yes, you are not, kind sir. Well done. There we go. That's the baseness coming through. Where there's no patriarchs, the institution is clean, but by the strength of a patriarch is much to gain. Has much to gain, I guess. I don't know. Where there's no patriarchs, the institution is clean. I'm not sure I'm getting that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm probably reading that wrong. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Russell, what do you think church leaders or elders should be doing to put their flocks at ease now in this tumultuous time?
Don't stop putting your flocks at ease. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah. How do you put your flock at ease?
To manage the situation. Stop trying to
tell them there is no ease. Yeah.
Tell them there is no ease. No one's coming to save us. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. How do you put your flock at ease? Don't put them at ease.
Don't put them at ease.
Get them up against the ropes. No. You're right. You're 100% correct. I agree totally. And I don't think that there are many church leaders out there that are willing to do that. You know, who knows? Maybe Scott might start a church there I think he's in Kentucky, I think, somewhere. And then you might start a church there and start your own based church. It can be called the House of Based Christians or Patriarchs or something.
But I mean, the thing is, it's just one of those things, you know. That's the thing about leadership generally. They're all about managing the situation. Let's just manage this thing and it'll go away. You know, manage it. I don't think this is a time where you can just manage your way out of it. You know, I think you got to be a little bit more decisive. You know what I mean? You know, the leaders in business and in churches and in civil society all over have been pretty much trained because of the society around us. We can get away with just managing the situation because the system is still working. But now the system is breaking down. You cannot manage it anymore. Now you need to actually lead a bit and actually make decisive, very difficult decisions. All right, you can't and you can't hide behind a system or managing it or nice talk or anything like that. That's going to get stripped away. So you can't. There is no putting anybody at ease. You have to actually, I don't know, cross the bridge and burn it behind you and say there's no going back, and that's it. You need to go, and it will happen eventually when everyone's lost everything and they've got nothing left to lose. It will happen, but for now everybody's comfortable, and it's not going to change at this point. And I'm sorry, there's, leaders. If you're going to put yourself in this leadership position, and you want to go and not do everything as possible just to manage rather than lead, just please give it up. Rather, just stop. Hand back your
but again, that's where, because again, remember, we live in this hyper corporate world and stuff where basically a leader's job is just to manage.
Correct. Everybody's a manager; they're not a leader. And it's across the board in society. Everyone's a good manager. No one's a good leader.
That's the thing. It's not impressive if you're. It's not that impressive if you're a manager. Like, this is the thing. It's not that impressive. So I want to just jump into this. So just to clarify Scott's thing over there, he said ripping off a proverb about oxen. Yeah. So I've just searched it now. It's Proverbs 14 verse 4. It says, "Where no oxens are, the trough is clean, but increase comes by the strength of an ox." So the institution is obviously the trough, and when there's no patriarchs, the trough gets milked dry. But then the strength
managers. No one ever leads, and it just gets watered down, watered down until there's nothing left.
Exactly. But then the patriarchs strengthen the increase, or the increase comes by the strength of the patriarch.
Yeah.
The good patriarch, the real patriarch. Remember when we made that video? I think, Russell, it was probably 2 years ago when we made the video where we said that no other nations on earth are patriarchal except Christian nations. Or Christianity is the idea of patriarchy. Even the Muslims and the African nations and stuff are matriarchal because of the role that a mother, or the role that a woman plays in their society. And I think that Christians have lost this idea of what it means to be purely patriarchal, and that's why the West is in such turmoil at the moment.
Oh, well,
let's see what.
Everybody, like we said.
Let's see what Dagbreker says. Dagbreker. I haven't said how's it to you this evening, but I'm glad you're here. This might sound a bit cynical. I'm seeing many traditional, capital T, people that have completely walked away, almost as if the only way a left voter will swing to conserve is when their land is under threat. People that have completely walked away. So is this basically a reference to what we were talking about earlier on, Russell? Maybe that people that we thought think the same way as us have completely gone the opposite way. Is that what you're talking about, Dagbreker? Almost as if the only way a left voter will swing to conserve is when their land is under threat. So yeah, I think it's a pure fear of, like we said earlier, Dagbreker, is the idea that people are so afraid of losing their comfortable lives. I think it's unnatural, utterly unnatural. I was chatting to Ernst van Zyl today, Conscious Caracal. We were talking about strife of man, and how it's good for men to struggle and that sort of thing. And I think it's unnatural for men to live too much of an easy life. You know, I think it's really unnatural. And if your life is easy as a man, you need to be finding ways out there to almost make your life difficult, but not difficult, but train yourself in life, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the thing is, you know, one of the things that, um, let's just take churches for an example, okay? Um, they, how can I put it? You know, I think, you know, look, there's a lot of churches that have discipled their people well in generally, okay? But when it comes to something out of left field, like the last 18 months or so, okay, a little bit out of left field for your average church leaders and what have you, they've struggled to understand how to deal with it. You know, how to actually disciple their flock through it. You know what I mean? They can't, because it's not something that's easy to manage. You know, it's not to say that it's easy and they should just do it, but they've generally the last my general feeling as a whole that the church as a whole is, and their leaders have failed dismally the last 18 months, dismally. They don't know how to disciple their people through these things. There's been a lack of decisiveness. You know, a very low level of lacking in decisiveness, and more just trying to manage the situation, which is not a way to do it. You basically need to rip the plaster off, and you need to. I think we were chatting the other day, Scott. It's not that type of leadership where a leader stands up and says, "This is what I'm saying. Those that want to come with me, come. I'm going," and he nails his colors clearly to the mast. You just don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. You don't see Saint
Nobody
Boniface the
nails the
Based
colors.
type vibes out there. You just
No.
don't. You just really don't. You don't see, you know, Saint Boniface with an axe going out there and chopping down pagan nonsense. You know, you don't see it. You just really don't. I mean, I'm not saying you don't see it. There are still a lot of good based Christian leaders out there, but you know, they're just so few and far between. They should be in the majority, but they really are hard minority. The based Christian leaders. Dagbreker says right wingers will not fight and watch it burn. Left wingers are left to defend. I saw a comment: "Let the liberals put their own beast back in the cage." I'm not quite. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Dagbreker. Sorry, brother. But maybe I'm just a bit tired. Bit of a rough night, rough day. But sorry. All I can get from it is maybe right-wing oaks are less sort of ideological than the leftists, and leftists are. You know, a lot of leftists actually are willing to die for their movements and stuff, but the so-called right-wingers are not. You know, and I think that's it. Well, isn't the reason why Russell does weights, etc., to make his life hard? Is to make his arms hard, man, and his chest hard. No, Russell does powerlifting because he's cringe.
Oh. The only sport left. It's the only sport left for me to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, Russell's getting
old, I can
actually
excel in, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is Russell's always been athletic his whole entire life, so he has to have some sort of sport to. It's so strange because I was never. We're polar opposites in that sense. Hey Russell, so we're talking about this nailing colors to the mast and the division that you're seeing between families and that sort of thing, with all of this nonsense going on. Do you think this clear division that is starting to form, and it's becoming more and more tangible and visible in our daily lives as we go along. Do you think this division is actually going to end up being bear with me over here, a good thing or a bad thing?
Look, all right, I'm not going to say whether I think it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. What I will say is I'll give my view, all right? I'm not saying my view is correct. I don't necessarily say, my view is the gospel on this, but I'm not a person of unity. I do not value unity. I value truth more than I value unity. Some people will, no, we must manage the situation, get as many people on. You're the amount of energy that you're going to expend, all right, trying to get unity, all right. You could have nailed your colors to the mast and made a good stand and had a good crack at it if you had just if you had rather just been a truth seeker. For me personally, I'm a truth seeker. I'm not a man of unity. So I'm not going to beg people to be reasonable with me or to see my point of view, and you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, because a lot of the times what comes with that is compromises that you're not willing to make. That's the thing.
Correct.
A lot of the times when you
eventually the unity, you've got unity of nothing.
Because basically you've made too many compromises. Because you're never going to get unanimous unity and that sort of thing. So
that's the thing,
but there should be an overarching truth that that maintains that unity. Like, for example, so Christians can find
you can't find you can't have a situation, you can't have unity for unity's sake. Oh, let's agree to disagree and all that sort of thing. You need to find real truths that you can unite around. You know what I mean? You've got to find enough truth to unite around it. Otherwise, it's not worth it. You can't find enough truth; it is not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very true, because I mean it's also observable in all daily lives and stuff, is the way that people interact with each other, and develop an in-group preference and stuff. Now, a lot of people look at in-group preference as something that's negative. I think it's a fantastic positive, because when you have in-group preference, basically what you have is you have a group of people that are united around a truth. Okay. And that is the only way that you're really going to be able to move forward, is when a group is united around a truth. And people that are not united around a truth are just going to end up destroying this group, because this group that is united in their truth. Okay. They're going to subvert the group. They're going to intoxicate it. They're going to effeminize it. They're going to essentially water it down until the trough is completely empty. And I think that if people understand that there is unity in these truths, and protect those truths, then separation is actually not really a bad thing, because what you're doing is you are essentially purifying the truth, if that makes any sense. So, for example, it's eventually what is eventually going to happen is we are going to be forced, because we don't want to take the vaccine, to not be able to partake in certain things, and so on and so on and so on. Obviously, my advice would just be to totally ignore that because it's nonsense. But eventually, what's going to happen is people are going to start coming against you. And it's happened to me before. I read a post on Facebook where some guy, some absolute lunatic, said, no, what they should do is we should create a public service announcement that broadcasts people who refuse to take the vaccine on their deathbed begging for forgiveness and begging for the vaccine when it's too late and watching them die. So, I mean, like that sort of thing, that is going to become far more prevalent than you'd like to think. And I mean, the absolute disgusting behavior that some of these people are going to perpetuate soon it's going to happen, and you don't want that sort of disgusting stuff in your group. So in essence, what this polarization is going to do is it's going to separate the men from the mice, and it's going to reinforce those men further away from those mice, purifying that that group of men, uniting them in their truth, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I saw an interesting clip that I watched where a guy said, unless two people can come together and around an objective truth, all right, then you need to fight for objective truth, because if there's no objective truth, all right, eventually what happens is it turns into him with the biggest sword wins. It's might makes right type of thing. So whichever party, say there's two parties, all right, and they can't agree on what is true, okay, eventually it's going to descend into might makes right. Whoever's got the biggest sword is going to become a tyrant and oppress the other. That's the way it works. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. But Russell, what we need to understand as Christians is, if that happens and we are smitten by authoritarians, if it's God's will, that's the way it is. Like, that's what Christians need to understand. We need to get back to this idea of, I don't mean to sound like a LARPer and stuff, but I love the idea of Deus Vult. Like, I love it. I love the idea of surrendering your life totally and fully to God, and understanding that if you die, let it be God's will. You know what I mean? Like in Scott's one of Scott's streams, when Gabriel appeared to Mary, right? And he said to Mary, or Mary said to Gabriel, let it be unto me. Oh, man, I'm like so tired, bro. But let it be unto me as it would God's will, or God's word, as it is God's word. So basically, if God wills it, let it be unto me. And this is the point. If we die, it is God's will. Like, people are just too petrified of dying. Let it be unto me according to your word. Thanks, Scott. And that's what we have to be doing. We have to be telling ourselves that every single day. Let it be unto me according to your word.
I must tell you an interesting story. There's an Iranian lady that I know, a convert to Christianity, and lives in Cape Town. I know her. She made a post on Facebook. Basically, she had COVID, relatively sort of serious, not too bad, but she had it, and she's lived under a government most of her life, which are basically tyrants. Complete might makes right type of thing. You know what I mean? And she basically said, she called the, in her testimony, she actually, in this write-up, she actually said that her having COVID was a blessing from God. All right. And this is a very new Christian, not like this. This is maybe someone that's been a Christian for a year or two, right? Because
Sorry,
it
say that
showed
again.
her that
She said that her getting COVID was a blessing from God.
it was a blessing from God, because it taught her
Extremely
how to.
based.
It taught her, and remember, this woman comes from a where fear is used as an intimidation tactic. She understands the game, hey? All right, she understands the game. She's been through it, and she said that COVID itself was a blessing because it taught her to trust God more, to actually, let go of sort of fear. You can't live in a fear situation. You know what I mean? It actually was a testimony. She had it relatively bad, but that's what her experience was.
That's extremely based, bro. That's extremely Deus fault. Dagbreker said, Knights of the Round Table, Scott is King Arthur. RJJ says the story of Gideon and the drinking from the river, separating men from the boys.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
That's the original 300.
Yeah, basically, Oaks that Neil and Oaks that drank it like a dog or something.
Yeah, the ones that put their heads in the water and ones that lapped it up with their hands.
Like a dog or something.
Put their heads down like that.
Yeah, classic. So Beth says, sorry, but a life under lockdown is not a life for living. Definitely not. And this is the point. We need to get back to this idea, guys. This idea that if you don't have your freedom, you have nothing at all. Correct. Like, don't these people understand this? Like,
yeah.
If you don't have your freedom, you are literally dead. You are dead.
And if you don't get the opportunities to exercise your faith, like this woman that I know from Iran, if you don't get those opportunities, you're not going to grow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that. How long has she been in South Africa, though? Or is she?
Not long. 3 years.
Okay, so she grew up in Iran, like in the caliphate and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there we go. That's
the whole life was under the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yeah, so well, there we go. So you understand now that someone comes from that to this and experiences the beauty that freedom actually is, and they're alive. They are alive, and they treasure every moment being alive. I mean, I've seen it with so many people that have come from places like Cuba or other places, and they are alive, and they are alive because of their freedom. Beth says, yes, give me Eleutheria or give me death. Yeah, Eleutheria is I believe it's Greek, right? You said Greek word for liberty. Give me liberty or give me death. But the back again to the convenient life. I remember a friend of ours today on a WhatsApp chat said, made a mockery of "give me liberty or give me death." It was basically "give me convenience or give me death." Like that's how Oaks nowadays view it. They're so used to their convenient little lives that they
give me a Mercedes or give me death, or or give me whatever.
Exactly, and it's so like it's so boring, guys. Like, I'm so over this stuff. Like, it's so boring. Like, you don't even realize how liberating a mindset it is to treasure these things and to treasure freedom and your liberty. You don't even understand. It's something extremely beautiful. Anyway, we have been chatting for exactly 1 hour, and I think it was a productive chat. I don't want to run much longer than an hour, because we were also a bit late this evening. But those of our diehard fans, Dagbreker, Beth, Scott, RJJ, all of those oaks in the chat, thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's been great. Russell, do you have anything that you want to say in closing?
No, not really. I've said everything, but really, people, one day you're going to wake up and realize when everything is gone that you should have done something long ago, or you at least should have thought differently way back. That's all I'll say. You're going to kick yourself.
Mm-hmm. So there was I mentioned I was chatting to Ernst today, and I want to just share this here quickly with you, Oaks. Share screen, give me a sec. He sent me this great little quote over here. It said, "At some point, you will have to stop running and take a stand. Either you, your children, or your grandchildren. Better you than them."
Yeah, it's going to get there.
That is the absolute point. I don't want my daughter to have to go and fight for her survival or to struggle and that sort of thing. I don't want my grandchildren to fight and struggle. I don't want my children to have to fight. I'd rather do it for them. And that's the reality of it. Face those realities or don't. But don't at your own peril.
Face the fight. Don't run from the fight.
Exactly. There is nowhere to run, folks. This ridiculous notion that you can just sort of run and hide under a rock is like, first of all, it's super gay. And second of all, it's lame. Like, get over it now. Get over it, people. Okay. Grow some balls, man. Stop being such cowards. It's 99.8% survival rate. Stop being a coward and don't take the vaccine. Bunch of cowards. Yes, like ridiculous. Scared, bro. What? Okay, you want to beat this COVID thing, okay? Start running in the morning, start lifting weights, start eating healthy, start taking your vitamins, start doing all of these things. Get yourself some ivermectin, and guess what? You've now increased your chances of survival to 99.99999 whatever. So you're going to survive this. Anyway, cool. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Remember to stay reactionary out there, because as always and forever, God wills it. Stay safe, brothers.